Everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, the host of This Week in Startups, and we constantly get asked very basic questions here at This Week in Startups. How do I raise money? How do I get a co-founder? How do I use AngelList? How do I hire my first couple of employees? Very basic questions. So I talked to my friends at WSGR and said, hey, Wilson Sonsini, the top law firm in the technology space, would you like to partner with us on doing a series about Startup Basics? They were like, Jason, that is a brilliant idea. I was like, thank you very much. And so here we go. This is a brand new series from This Week in Startups brought to you by Wilson Sonsini called Startup Basics. And one of the most basic questions I get constantly is how do I raise an angel round, right? How do I raise money from an angel investor? And it changes over time. So the answer that I give today could change over time. And let me tell you something, boy, has the answer changed in the last 3, 5, 10, and 20 years. 20 years ago, if you wanted to raise angel money, what that meant was there were 5 angels in all of Silicon Valley who might back your company. You really were talking about friends and family. Friends and family is one of the best ways to prove that you have skin in the game and that you're a serious entrepreneur. If you go to your rich uncle or your dad's got money or your cousin and you actually take the first $10,000 or $20,000 from them to build your prototype, when you go talk to a professional angel investor, they know that you had the guts, the gumption, the gall to ask the people who you go to Thanksgiving or Passover or Christmas or whatever holidays you celebrate and potentially have a very awkward moment with them the next time the holidays roll around. Because you might lose their money. Oh my God, is this a great signal for you to send? So, first and foremost, ask your family and friends who are rich and can afford to lose a little bit of money, and say, hey, I've got a killer idea. Will you give me $10,000 for, 2 or 3% of the company, a ridiculous deal, maybe 5% of the company, whatever it is, whatever you need to get done at that time as an entrepreneur. Now, if you're a serial entrepreneur and you don't put the first $10, $20, $30, $50,000 in yourself, you're going to negatively signal the angels that you don't actually really care. Right? So if you're like some guy or gal sold your company for $25 million or $250 million, why are you coming to me for your first 25 or $250K in angel funding? Isn't that your job as somebody who has made some money? So those are 2 really great early indicators. 1, take money from friends and family and risk those relationships. And if you don't have the guts to ask your parents or cousins or uncles for money and your friends, is it really that good of an idea? Ask yourself that. It's a very important test for you. Now, second, if you've got $100,000 in your bank account or 50 or 250, and you're not willing to put it on your own idea, then why should anybody else back you? You failed 2 tests if you're not willing to do either of those things. So that's table stakes. That's how we're going to start this discussion. And that's how a lot of these discussions will happen. And how much work have you put into this idea? There are people who are talkers and people who are walkers. There are people who say, I will start working once I get money from an angel investor. When I get that sense from somebody that they're not really working on the idea, that it doesn't have a sense of inevitability, that this is going to occur with or without me as an angel investor, boy, I am just not interested. What, you're waiting for me to give you a $10,000 or $25,000 or $50,000 check for you to start working? That's never the way I did it. Okay, now cold emails to an angel. This can work. Cold emails do work. You find the angel investor's email address, which isn't that difficult. And if you can't find an angel investor's email address, well, maybe you shouldn't be in the business because it's not the hardest thing in the world. And you can also find these people on AngelList now and Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. So the angel investors are out there. You just have to do the research. So contacting them by email, it's delicate because they get a lot of emails. What will they respond to? Well, I'll give you a couple of hints. If you start out with a compliment and or recognition that you know the history of that angel investor, you are going to start off on second base, literally. So if you're emailing Naval from AngelList, who's an angel investor as well, and you say, I knew your first company, or I saw your interview with Jason on This Week in Startups, and you said this, and it inspired me to become an entrepreneur, or Dear Jason, I am a huge fan of episode number 206 with Chris Sacca. He was hilarious, but I really love Gary Vaynerchuk. Chuck's episode best, right? You're starting with some indication that you've done your research on the angel, which makes us as the angels know I'm not just 1 out of 200 emails you sent, the cookie cutter. And send it in a regular, normal font. Like I got an email the other day from somebody who had a really interesting idea. For some reason, they decided to like HTML their email. And also, if it's too long, if it's really long, it doesn't look like a sane person doesn't write 1,000 words in a first email. So here's what your first email should say. Dear ex-angel investor, I really am interested in what you said in this article and or podcast. I agree, blah, 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 blah. That's like one sentence. Sentence 2, I am a 27-year-old graduate of Stanford who is working on an idea. One sentence description of the idea. That's it. Just a little taste of who you are. We don't need your goddamn life biography because nobody cares. Nobody cares what school you went to, but a little bit. Okay, I'm a 26-year-old from Manhattan. I'm 22. I'm in Chicago. Just an idea of what I'm dealing with here. People do want to know. It could be I'm a 30, I mean, I don't mean to be ageist here, but it could be I'm a 30-year vet of the television industry, and I've left to start an advertising network for YouTubers. Here's how it works. One sentence, right? Just here's what I'm doing. One sentence. Then here's the magic. A link. A screenshot. Just something that indicates that you are a builder. A talker, not a walker. Nobody is interested in your ideas. We're interested in your execution. For the love of God. Nobody cares about your ideas. I don't know how to say that more plainly. If you are an angel investor or a professional investor, do you know what you hear all day long? Ideas. Do you know what you realize after a very short period of time? Everybody has the same goddamn ideas. Oh, you want to make a social network that's better than MySpace, Mr. Zuckerberg? Wow, I have gotten that idea literally 500 times in the last 6 months. I'm putting us back in that time period when Zuck was, coming out and raising capital and leaving Harvard to come to Palo Alto. But what differentiated somebody like Mr. Zuckerberg is that Mr. Zuckerberg was not a talker, but a walker. He was a doer. Okay? He could show something. Here it is. Here is the basic version. Here's how it works, right? He had started building, and there was a sense of inevitability. You either got on the Facebook train or you didn't. And trust me, that train was moving fast. There was a sense of urgency to it. So that is how you contact somebody by cold email. And then at the bottom, so we got the first paragraph about the angel investor, second paragraph, who you are and your idea, and then 3, an image, a mock-up, a URL that takes them to a deck, whatever it is. And then number 4, I would love to meet with you anytime, anywhere, for 15 minutes if you are interested in what I'm doing. So you've sent another signal. I will go anywhere at any time to get 10 minutes with you. That's how important you are, Mr. Naval, okay? Mr. Chris Dixon, Mrs. Esther Dyson, whoever it is that you're trying to get as an angel investor. You want to make them feel like you are the most important angel investor for them to land. Even if it is not true, you need to make them feel special. And now, they will not respond to your first one, but they may click on the link. They may look at the images. You know why? Screens like to move. People like to see things moving on their screen. When you send somebody a screenshot or a wireframe, and you don't send everything, right? You don't want to send the whole goddamn sitemap and a huge 50-page document. That's absurd. But if you just send us a beautiful image, we are going to look at it. We cannot help but not look at it. Now, you say to me, well, I don't have a designer. Why are you coming to angel investors if you're not even capable in the year of 2014 of getting a world-class designer to build you a couple of screens? For the love of God, a world-class designer on Dribbble or Behance.net costs $25, $50, $75, or $100 an hour. If you're not willing to spend $1,000 with a designer, you should not be writing that email. And this is a whole nother thing that I'm going to get into. Firing off emails is easy. That's why I get so many goddamn emails all the time. That's why all of us angel investors get so many emails. But making something beautiful and crafting it and thinking it through is hard. So if you send an email, You've put yourself in the bucket of people who are capable of sending an email. Guess what? That's 100% of the population can send an email. But if you make something crafted and brilliant, small, but brilliant and beautiful, you've now self-selected yourself into the top 10% of the class by spending $500 or $1,000. But you know what? 95% of the people who email me don't even take that basic step. And I can tell you 95% out of 100 don't even take the basic step to understand who they're emailing. And if you sense a little bit of frustration in my voice, it's because as an angel investor and an entrepreneur, I've been on both sides of the table. And I've thought this through myself. I made these mistakes early in my career where I was just like, if I could just go to lunch with you, if I could just get time with you, you would understand that I'm brilliant. It might be true, but we need to have a filtering mechanism on the other side of the table. And the filtering mechanism, depending on who you are, is going to be execution, maybe their network, okay? And it's a very, or maybe how good your idea is, maybe, but I doubt it. It's really going to be, did you come from a trusted source, or did you make something brilliant? And that leads me to the next point. The best way to get in touch with me is not to email me. It's to find somebody I trust and to get them to introduce you and to send your email to me. So I just got the co-founder of YouTube, one of the co-founders, there's three actually, and the third little-known co-founder emailed me about a project. And he said, hey, Jason, you may not remember, we may not. Of course, I remembered him. And he said, I'm investing in this. These individuals who have this idea that's in the video space would love to meet with you. And I said, well, if they know the co-founder of YouTube and they're in the video business and they got him to email me, you know what? I'm like halfway there to investing. Forget about taking the meeting. I instantly replied with my assistant, get a meeting. Let's talk. And I didn't even really, I did click on the idea. They had a link there. They did explain their idea succinctly. But it was just a perfect interaction for me as an entrepreneur. So those are enough to get you started. Remember, just to recap, if you're not willing to take money from your friends and your family, then your idea probably sucks or you don't have what it takes to be a great entrepreneur, which is guts. Okay, are we clear? I hope so. Number two, if you're not willing to save your own money and invest it in making something that looks beautiful and deserves to exist in the world, then you suck and you should not be an entrepreneur. Could we be any more clear? Number three, if you're not willing to do basic research on the people you're targeting, for the love of God, you do not deserve to be an entrepreneur. And finally, you need to be smart enough to figure out who is in that angel investor's orbit. Who is in their orbit? It could be a lawyer. It could be the people they invested in before 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and you go have coffee first with them, get their counsel, and then ask them for the intro. But you got to be able to work your way backwards, right? One of the things I have so often in my career is people asking me to introduce them to David Sachs from Yammer or Elon Musk or Paul Graham, who I barely know, or Mark Cuban, who I sort of know for a while. Like they just assume that I am going to, email them and forward their idea to these very important people in the world. You know what? You have to earn those intros. So that's another just sort of final thing I'll throw in here is set your target properly. If you really, and I don't mean this to dissuade people, but you're not going to get the time of the most important people in the world for your little dorky idea, respectfully. Start with the people who you can get access to and build up until you get access to that person. And that's what I did my whole career. This is like a huge video game. But you don't start the video game on the boss level. You start the video game with the little tiny mushrooms and you're banging things around and getting coins and it's super easy. And then after you play the video game for a while, you get to the boss level, you get to the finale, all that kind of nonsense. In other words, take your time to level up. All right, listen. Thank you to my friends at Wilson Sonsini. It's a tremendous, tremendous law firm and partner for any startup. I have been partners with them for decades, and they're super, super supportive. I hope this has been helpful for people, and we will be doing a couple of dozen of these Startup Basics. If you have ideas or you want to contact me at any time, I'm just Jason on Twitter, and you can follow me there, or you can follow the show at TWI Startups, and you can always email me, jason@launch.co. or jason@calacanis.com, any of those, they all go to the right place, or angel.co/Jason is my AngelList profile, angel.co/Jason. There's plenty of ways to get in touch with me. And now you know the secrets of how to raise that first angel round. I hope this has been helpful. We'll see you next time.